Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Zachary Walker. It's a pleasure to speak to the Global Educational Allies today. I know you at GEA are interested in international work. I'm currently at the University College London Institute of Education. I've been there for 2 years. Before that I spent 5 years in Singapore. I've also spent some time in France and in Switzerland working for UNESCO. But today I'm presenting from my parents' house, and there's nothing quite so humbling as doing professional work from your parents' home. So what I want to talk about today, though, is a little bit about social and emotional mental health from what we've faced for the last year. There's no question that COVID and the last year has been really, really challenging. And I think we've all acknowledged that. And it's interesting when we talk about the last year, because one of the things we often bring up in education is this idea of grit and resilience and growth mindset. And we often talked about the fact that, we teach too much of the curriculum. We don't make time for all these other things. And in the last year, we've had a chance to teach these things, right? And I think it's important that we understand that although the last year has been hard, there's also been some real positives. We've seen some students who have, really had the chance to slow down. And they've talked about the fact that they are so happy they don't have all these additional extracurricular activities. We've seen other students who working from home has really allowed them to take ownership of their learning. And we know how important that is as well. It's interesting, my first student teaching experience, when I was just starting out in teaching, I went to the school, and the teacher, a gentleman named David Spivey, met me at the front door, and we were walking back to the classroom, and he said, I don't know much about teaching, but what I know is that you have to be what you want to see. And I went on to work with David for a while, and I learned a lot from working with him and being mentored by him. And I've thought a lot about that this year. We have to be what we want to see. And how important that is, especially in times of crisis. And I think we can all say that, this pandemic has been a time of crisis. And yet there are some really positive things that have come of it as well, as we mentioned. And so we can't forget those things. We can't make everything negative all the time. And I think one of the things that's really important is that we're intentional about that. Because remember, our students are going to reflect us. Our students they're going to learn from what we do, how we act, not necessarily what we say. So it's really, really important that we're being the role models for them, and we're showing the things that we talk about: the growth mindset, the resilience, the adaptability, the flexibility. If we want them to have those things, we need to be showing them as well. And I know how hard we're all working. I think, our frontline healthcare workers have received a lot of praise this year, but teachers, we are the unsung heroes, right? And when I work with teachers all over the world. I currently have students from about 15 different countries right now. So I'm working with teachers all over the world. And one of the things that we're seeing is this idea that, everywhere you go, everyone's having these same experiences. Certain countries have handled it better. But what we've seen in education is it's been a massive adjustment for everybody. So I just want to finish in the last minute and a half here or so with two things. I was listening to a psychologist, and he said, one of the things that has become quite clear is, we used to think of kind of well-being as, going to a spa with your girlfriends, or a guy's weekend away, or something like that. But we have to start thinking of well-being as what we say no to, as kind of like being our own parents. We have to say no to things that we know aren't going to be healthy. And so my last question for you, I know we all have to-do lists, right? Stop at the store and get milk, or pick up the kids, or grade this assignment, or plan that lesson, whatever it might be. What's on your to-stop list? Maybe you need to stop paying attention to the news. Maybe we have to take a little bit of time off social media, because social media can be great, but for many of us, it can also be a vacuum, right? That's not healthy. So what are 3 things that you can make sure you're doing, but stop all the other stuff? Take that pressure off yourself. Learn to say no to things. Because again, our students are paying attention. They're seeing if we're complaining or if we're making the best of this situation. They're seeing if every day we come in with a negative attitude, if we log on, if we're teaching online and we're negative, or they're seeing if we're still being positive, we're bringing it anyway. Remember, we have to be what we want to see. Keep up the great work.